Rabbi Nachman, lesson 62. Imuna ena she'echa ela bidbar she'eno yodea hatam ve'af al pi chen etzel ha'ma'amim hadavar galui ki'u ro'eh be'enav hadavar she'ma'amim bo mechamat kodel u'marto hashlama. Faith is only applicable to a thing that a person does not understand intellectually. All the same, if for the one who believes in something, that thing is revealed to him as if he sees with his own eyes due to his enormous, perfect faith. So what it's saying here is that faith, the definition of faith, is something that you can't see. If I tell you, Steve, how many fingers do I have? 5. So do you need faith to tell that I have 5 fingers? No, you don't. If I tell you, Steve, in 3 days from now, you're going to make $5 million. That you need faith, because you're like, how? Like, how's that going to be? But, so faith is not something that you could understand intellectually, right? We're going to go into the Parsha on fire later, but the concept is that emunah is something that tells someone, oh, you're single and you're getting older, that's for the best. What are you, crazy? How's that for the best? Mm-hmm. It's for the best. Now, in 5 years from now, they might see that the person that they were supposed to marry was 17 at the time. And you'll see sometimes someone who's 40 marries someone who's 22. So their wife, their true soulmate who's going to bring them everlasting happiness wasn't ready. But that wasn't something that they could see in the moment. It says here, "Ha'emunah mitchadeshet etzel ha'adam b'chol boker b'chinat chadashim לבקרים וביום מלחמת תרדוף עסקי העולם נתכסה האמונה." Welcome. So it says here, a person's faith is renewed in him every morning, as expressed in the verse, "There are new every morning, great is your faithfulness." During the daytime, however, the faith is covered over as a result of a person's preoccupations with worldly affairs. So he's saying, when you get up in the morning, that's when your emunah is restored. But as you grow, look at it as your iPhone. You leave it charged overnight, you have 100%. As you go about your day, all of a sudden you're at 21%. What happened? You used your battery. So let's go deeper into this concept of your faith relinquishing during the day. Mechamat she'en ha'emunah b'shlemut ayedeh ze rabim nechshalim b't'ut v'osim et hasibot etzma'im benam leben Hashem yitbarach. Due to the imperfect faith, many people stumble into error, making the means an intermediary between themselves and God. In other words, they believe in God, right? You ask any person that's a decent guy, usually most people believe in God, especially Jewish people. We're believers. Do you believe God exists? Yeah, I believe God exists. But they also believe in an intermediary, insisting that a means is required. So let's illustrate this. For example, they believe in the means of earning a living, namely an occupation, and they say that the means of an occupation is the essential thing, as if, God forbid, without the means of an occupation, God would be incapable of providing them with a livelihood. So I believe in God, but then they attach so much to their job, as if their job is giving them a livelihood. God doesn't need you. We work because we're commanded the Torah to work, but God could send you God is sending you a livelihood, not your job. Your job is the curtain that's sending you a livelihood, but it's really God. So people then they worship their livelihood. You see, in the desert, did the Jews work? No, they were provided for. You see, sometimes ravens brought prophets food when they were alone in caves in the times of the Navi. The ravens brought Elisha food. So it's not the job that's making you money. You work because you're commanded to, but it's Hashem at the end of the day who's sustaining you. God would be incapable of providing them with a livelihood. Likewise, they make the means for healing, namely medicines, the essential thing. As if, God forbid, without medicines, God would be incapable of healing another thing. So a person has a headache and he takes an Advil. What does he think? He thinks the Advil cured me. God cured you through the Advil, and if God wanted, he could cure you without the Advil. You see people, they have stage 4, whatever it is, I don't want to say the names,
sure,
and they're healed. There's stories on top of stories of healing miracles. You see Joe Dispenza, I think I mentioned it before in the class. The man got into a car accident, he couldn't walk. The doctor told him, you're never walking again. He laid in bed paralyzed, and he visualized himself running. 5 years later, he's running and he's inspiring the world. Who healed him? God healed them.
Yeah.
So it's not the intermediary. Yes, take medicine. Yes, go to work. Yes, you should. Torah commands you to find the cure. The Torah commands you to go to work. But don't fall in love with the medium. don't fall in love with the thing that isn't really the main thing that's working. It's God working through the thing.
How about superstition? Would that be like an extreme of that?
Superstition, what do you mean by that?
If I see, if the stars align a certain way, then things are gonna go good. If I see a black cat, it's gonna be bad, because now you have that's your intermediary.
You're saying you're giving power to a superstition instead of God. You're asking, is that a good thing?
Would that be like an extreme form of what you're talking about?
Yes, but there's also an aspect to, if a person, it says in Gemara Berachot 45, if a person has a dream, let's say let's say somebody has a bad dream, right away interpret it as good. Why? Because the dream goes after what you think it is. So a person could have a dream that 5 people were chasing him, and oh my God, that's scary. And it means that my enemies were chasing, but they're never going to catch me because I'm protected, right? You could flip it. So if you want to say, see that cloud right there, Steve?
Right.
That's a lucky cloud. So you're thinking the right way, but really, you don't need to do that. But it can't hurt you because you're thinking the right way, right? You're thinking with a positive attitude, right? So does that answer?
I remember, Rabbi Diamond?
Yeah, over here in the Deal Show.
I remember I was at a class and he said that like not to believe in like signs or rely on signs. Like sometimes people say, Hashem, show me a sign, that because I guess it's putting your faith in something that's not God. But
Right.
I don't know.
Interesting. No, so I was leaning towards that.
Isn't signs. Yours is just positive thinking.
I'm thinking why can't I say okay, there's a tree right there waving. That means I'm going to have a lot of blessing. Am I believing in the tree? No, I'm just using it as a spring to launch my faith. But now if the tree stops waving, am I going to be like, oh, shoot, that's the problem? You understand? If it can hurt you the other way, that's a problem. You get that? But of course, there's one power, there's one source. There's one source, and we tap into the source by believing in the source and trusting in the source and putting our faith in the source. The source protects us and blesses us. So if you want to make your source a person or a thing, it's like this, right? The person one day could be well and be nice to you, and the next day you could have a change of heart. People's interests change. But God doesn't change. God is set,
Right.
So might as well put your faith in God. It says here that, okay, so that's another aspect of it. The most important part of anything is its beginning. To explain, all beginnings are difficult. Since at the time a person is going from one extreme to the other, but after he has already made a start and he begins to grow accustomed to whatever he has begun, then the change is not so difficult for him. Accordingly, so practically he's saying that all beginnings are hard. Steve, I'm sure you could remember your first day at your job. It probably was not easy, am I right?
Sure.
Because it's the beginning. You're learning, you're scattered, you're confused, you're trying to pick up pieces.
Sure.
So it's a basic concept, very simple. Rabbi Nachman is very simple here. Accordingly, a person's spiritual work and his awe and fear of God each day all depend on how he began. Since each day he must go back to receive strength from the beginning when it was most difficult for him. So the first halakha, something I need to work on, the first halakha in Shulchan Aruch, which is the guidebook of laws, is titkabel ka'ari. You should rise in the morning like a lion. Today, thank God, I was blessed to be able to do that. But you should get up like this, lion. Why? Because everything goes from the beginning. Kid comes to school, he has a great first day, it's good. Once something's first impressions, they say, are the most important impressions. Everything goes from the beginning. Therefore, a person must start anew each time, because it might just be that his beginning was not what it should have been. And if so, all his spiritual work is also lacking perfection, since everything follows after the beginning. Therefore, al ken tzarich litchazek leorel libo להתחיל בכל פעם מחדש בכל התלהבות habut gadol ובגברות חדש לעבודתו יתברך כאילו לא התחיל עדיין מעולם כדי שתהיה עבודתו כראוי כפי כוח ההתחלה כנ"ל וכן בכל העם צריך לחשוך חשכה זאת פן לא התחיל עדיין כראוי